This game, this game right here, this game was a bounce back game after losing to the number 1 and number 2 teams in the NWSL, in the entire league. But this game right here was a massive 4-1 win versus Racing Louisville, and it's time to break it all down on the Penalty Kick podcast. I'm your host, Mike Gio. First, we need to do a big shout out to the Sirens, per usual. I was over at Culture Brewing in Solana Beach, and I got to be part of the watch party, and it was an absolute blast. So thank you, Sirens, for putting on such a great event, such a fun time getting to cheer on our squad with other fans, other individuals cheering, and what a game to be at. So thank you so much. The next watch party this next weekend versus Chicago is at 619 Spirits in North Park. It is a collab with One of Us, which is going to be a women's sports bar. That is so cool. Let's go. But also, let's break the game down. So we'll go through a quick game recap just to get the highlight plays. In the 17th minute, Dolly steps up to take a free kick. It was at the top left of the box. Just an absolute majestic strike over the wall and into the left side of the net. Just like that, 1-0 San Diego Wave. And I thought we were going to be coasting the rest of the way, but not so fast, because we gave up a little bit of a clumsy penalty, and there will be more on that later, but it was a penalty in the end, and Borges for Louisville steps up to the spot and converts 1-1. And I kind of thought, since the momentum is back on Louisville's side, it might be a tough game just because they tied it up. Now they have some momentum, but the Wave came out in the second half and just said, nope, not today, because in the 50th minute, Barcenas starts the attack and gives it up until it cycles all the way to the wing to Cascarino, and then Cascarino cuts it back. Barcenas at the top of the box, kind of inside, and puts it away in the left bottom corner. Barcenas gets her first goal of the season. Just like that, we're up 2-1. And then Cascarino was not done because she wanted hers, and she got 2. The first one in the 60th minute off a goalkeeper error. Good hard shot low, but the goalkeeper was right in front of it and let it slip through her hands into the goal. 3-1, a little bit of icing on the cake, but Cascarino wanted the cherry on top as well, because in the 77th minute, another strike from long range, but this one just an absolute beauty, sharp shooting into the left bottom corner from a little bit of distance, and that is how you bounce back after 2 tough losses. But just to show and round out how dominant we were, I will throw some stats up on the video, and you could just see we dominated possession. It was 64% to 36%. This is what we do. We usually dominate possessions. Even in the games we've lost, we've dominated possession. So that is our definite style of play. But what I love about the stats is we had 6 shots on goal versus their 2 shots on goal for Louisville. When you limit them to only 2 shots and you score 4 goals, you're going to win that every single time. Also, you have to think one of their shots was via the penalty kick. So they had 1 shot in open play on goal. That is a great defensive game, and I love to see that after a little bit of a struggle in the past 2 games with keeping opponents off the board or under 2 goals. And maybe this one they should not have scored because maybe that was a soft penalty. But again, we'll get into that. I need to just shout out some of the players. Once you start to see a team form and come together and start to play together, you can start to see who shines the most. And the players this year so far and in this past game that have shown: Maroney, great. Corley, spectacular. Dolly, phenomenal. Cascarino, beyond amazing. Cascarino's moves to get by defenders is absolutely world class. And the watch party, every time, in Solana Beach, when we were at the watch party, every time Cascarino got the ball and did a move, it was literally, ooh, ah, all of us were just clamoring for her to go and take on the defender. It was so fun to watch her play that game and just, again, really show who she is as a player and this team coming together. But I want to give major props to someone else too. I want to give major props to Jonas. There were some changes that I absolutely liked and I thought worked really, really well. I'll throw up the starting lineup just so y'all can see some of the changes, but Marta was out, which was a surprise, but she was replaced by Barcenas. And I love Barcenas, so I love to see Barcenas get the start. Armstrong, this time started at center back, her natural position. She was placed next to Wesley. I didn't know if two young players could play together, but it looked a lot better than Armstrong being on the wing. So I kind of like the Armstrong-Wesley pairing. And again, only 2 shots on goal for Louisville. I thought Leon starting was actually what I kind of wanted. I just like a little bit of a veteran presence, can do a little bit of a hold-up play. But then bringing on Chiamaka as a sub, absolutely phenomenal, even though Chiamaka was caught offsides like 1,700 times. But also, Chiamaka is just fast. She's still learning. I still think she could be dangerous for our team, but I do like her as a sub. My hot take, I love Marta. I think Marta is world class. But Barcenas needs to start. And hear me out. I don't care how young she is. I don't. She can do things on the ball that no other player on our team can do except maybe Cascarino and maybe Corley. But start her hands down because she is going to be the future of this team. She got a lot of PT under Donovan. I expect hopefully for her to get more and more PT under Jonas because she is dangerous. Just imagine Barcenas running on the left, Cascarino running on the right, and they both can take players on by themselves, which then puts the defense at a disadvantage. And then the defense is scrambling to cover up the other defensive errors because, hey, they're by you. So they can make passes. They can score goals. Love to see Barcenas get PT. Hopefully she continues to get PT. She continues to get rewarded. And it is just fun to watch when we are running at individuals and running at defenders. I just love it. Big shout out to Cascarino. Big shout out to Barcenas. Barcenas did get subbed off, which is fine. I think she, again, played well, and she was rewarded with her goal. Jonas seems to be settling into a 4-2-3-1 formation instead of the 4-3-3. He's played 4-2-3-1 in 3 out of the 5 games, but in the last 2 games, he's preferred that formation, specifically 4-2-3-1, and I think it gives him more of a defensive structure in the middle. I think the 4-3-3 has left them open a little bit, and I think our defense needs a little bit more help than our offense just because we have just amazing offensive players and we have really young defensive players. So I like the changes he's made, and that seems to be what we're going to go forth with. But again, who knows what exactly he's going to do in the midfield and the attacking. I hope we do settle in to a defensive structure, and I think we might. Lundqvist was back, and also Corley was back, and that made a whole heck of a lot of difference as well. But one thing that's really worrisome, you still always got to critically analyze a team so we can always get better. We've given up 3 penalties in 5 games. That is far too many. And okay, the first one, yes, it was soft, but you can't overturn that. And at the end of the day, I do think it was soft, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a penalty, because if you say it's soft, that means there was contact. Second penalty, no arguments. McNabb's hand was out. The ball was going on goal. Penalty had to be a penalty. No qualms there about that call. Third penalty was really, really clumsy. Was it a penalty? It's hard to say. I have a little bit of a beef with this because the ref called foul outside the box, and then VAR made them look at the next run of play, which should not happen, which was then a penalty. Was it a penalty if there was no whistle before for the other foul? I think it was a penalty. It was clumsy. It was rash. There was contact, clattered over the Louisville attacker. But again, that was the second phase of play when you already called the first phase of play foul outside the box. So I had a problem with the way that it was called. Was it a penalty in the end? Yes, maybe. But again, that is 3 penalties in 5 games. We need to have more composure in the box when we're going after players, when we're trying to chase down players, and they happen to be in the box. But for that one momentary lapse, it was an absolute dominant 4-1 performance by the Wave, and that puts the Wave 6th in the NWSL standings now, only 2 points away from 4th place. So we could hopefully be moving up and continue to move up, because the next game is away against Chicago. They are not one of the top 2 teams in the league. So let's close out this road trip and bring another win and bring a little bit of a winning streak back to San Diego, back to Snapdragon Stadium.